Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Sri Tips here, and these are some silver bars that I poured and stamped a few years back, and I sold them to a fella, and he needed some cash and came back and he sold these bars back to me, and I gladly bought them back. They're 10 troy ounce bars. And what we're going to do today then is we're going to take some of our pure silver crystal that we've harvested from the silver cell. And what I'll do is I'll measure some of this into small quantities, and then we'll melt the silver in a melt dish like this and pour some pure silver bars from our pure silver crystal. The way I used to do this is we take one of our Dixie cups here, zero the scale out, and now I fill the cup with the appropriate amount of silver that I want the bar to yield. And I think in this case we're going to go with 5 troy ounce bars. 10 troy ounce bars are a little more difficult to get right. Alright, there's enough. That's 5.095 troy ounces of pure silver crystal. Now what we'll do is just keep going with this process until I have about 5 of these cups filled up with 5 ounces of pure silver crystal each. I've got all my pure silver crystal measured out, 5 ounces each, and these are 10 ounce bars, so we won't be pouring any 10 ounce bars today. We'll be pouring 5 ounce bars with this amount of silver. And before we go out and turn this into one of these, what we'll need to do is go out and treat our melt dish with borax before we do the melt. Before we melt our silver, we must prepare the brand new melt dish with borax. And I have some borax here in a little dish, and I'll be using this to coat the inside of this melt dish, this brand new one. This is the borax that I use. It's 20 Mule Team borax straight from the grocery store. I'm trying a new torch head here. It's a brazing torch. I usually melt my metal with a cutting torch head on it. So we're going to try this for this experiment and see how this brazing torch is going to work out for us to melt our pure silver bars. And what I'm doing here is I'm heating the melt dish with the flame to drive off any excess moisture that may be in this fused silica melt dish. Got to be careful here. You can, if you leave the flame in one spot too long, it could become scorched. So we just want to heat it till we see it turning a little bit red. And then what we're going to do is start adding small quantities. I'm talking little bitty pinches of borax. I'm going to turn this flame down a little bit. I'm just going to coat the inside of this dish with tiny pinches of borax. Here you'll notice I'm using very small pinches of borax to just coat the inside of that melt dish. It's an example of when less is more. Folks usually have a tendency to add too much borax, and we want to avoid that because when we start melting the metal, the borax will come over with the pour of the metal into the graphite mold and glue that bar into the graphite mold. The only way to get it out is to break it. People may be curious as to where we get our pure silver crystal for this melt, and it comes from my electrolytic silver cell. This is a homemade electrolytic silver cell I use to grow pure silver crystal in. And what we do is we start out with the copper nitrate, silver nitrate rather, that I harvest or I get from the gold refining. I add silver to the gold and quart it, and then we pull it back out with nitric acid, and I save that silver solution, add it to this bucket, and then cement it out onto pieces of copper. And once that reaction is complete, I rinse all of the copper nitrate off of the pure silver powder. This is about 99 to 98% pure silver powder, cement silver, if you will. And then once we get all the blue liquid rinsed off of this, I melt it up into some shot. Looks kind of like this. I'm almost out. I've got to do another melt to produce some more impure silver shot for the silver cell. And then what we do is we add the impure silver shot that we've melted from our cement silver and poured into water to form these granules. We add that to our electrolytic silver cell here, up here in the anode basket. In here we pass an electric current through that impure silver, and the silver dissolves along with the copper and travels through that Dacron filter bag, and then travels through the electrolyte and plates out in here inside this stainless steel bowl as high purity silver crystal. Here I'm all set up, ready to pour my first silver bar. I've got this little handle that fits the melt dish that I like to use when I'm pouring my silver bars. And we've got the silver that we measured out into the Dixie cups. We'll take our first charge of silver and add it to the melt dish so we can get ready to melt up our first silver bar. I'm using the MAP gas torch to begin the melt, and then once we get going here, I'll bring in the oxyacetylene torch with the brazing tip on it, see how that's going to work for us. This is a time lapse of the melt, and I haven't poured any silver bars in a long time. So anything you don't do for quite some time, you lose proficiency. And you'll see me here switch the torch from that large cavity on the graphite mold to the smaller cavity because I didn't know which one to use. And it ends up, that smaller cavity ended up being the wrong one to use for this amount of silver. Here it's self-evident. I've used the wrong cavity in that graphite mold, and I'm not able to pull the full charge of molten metal into that small cavity. Here's an example of why it's important to have that reducing flame over the mold when we pour the molten silver in. You'll see without that flame present, we get a frosty appearance on top of the silver as it freezes. Let's see if we can get this skin off of these silver bars now. I'm going to transfer them into a clean Pyrex dish. Now I'll add about, let's see, about 400 milliliters of distilled water to a beaker. And then what we'll do is add about 20 milliliters of sulfuric acid. Not much, just a little bit. I'll stir this up. And now we'll pour this in our silver. And this weak acid solution should dissolve off that skin that's on top of our bars. I'm going to set it up there in some heat. The sulfuric acid that I used to get the flux off of those bars is called Ruto Professional Drain Opener, and it is concentrated sulfuric acid. That only took about 5 minutes. The bars look excellent now. Let's get this solution off of here. Let's take a look down in here and see what we've got. High purity silver bars. Got a little bit of blistering right there. From the gas, I was out gassing as it solidified. That one looks real good. It's got a little bit of blistering on the surface. How's this one? Oh yeah, this one came out real nice. Nice smooth finish. And then here's the small bar that we poured when I made the error and poured it, or selected the wrong cavity in the graphite mold. Before we proceed any further, let's do the all-important weigh-in. We're looking for 5 troy ounces. That one's 5.085. That one's good. 5.065. 5.090. And 5.065. So we're a little over on each one, which is good. That's what we want to be at. And then here's this oddball little one. It's at 2.7 troy ounces for the small one. I've got all the silver bars nice and stamped up now. This is the one that had the best finish on it. 2022, 12th month, 17th day. Let's see what the weight is on this one. 5.065. Next one is 2022, 12/18. It's got a little bit of blistering going on there, but that's okay. It's high purity silver. 5.09 on the weight, troy ounces. And we've got 2022, 12/19. It's got a few blisters on it, but it looks real good. It's high purity silver. Those blisters are just from the outgassing. 5.085 troy ounces. And then this one is 2022, 12/20. 5 troy ounces. It's got a real good finish on it too. And the weight on this one is 5.065. And last but not least is 2022, 12/21. This is the 2.7 troy ounce bar. Let's see what we got on that. 2.77 troy ounces. And what we'll do is we'll offer these for sale on my eBay site. Mrs. Three Tips has set the price, so don't squawk at me if the price seems outlandish. No one should be selling silver right now. Silver is grossly and artificially underpriced right now. So if I can't sell these, I'll just get to hang on to them. Okay, this will conclude the video. Thank you for watching.